Stephanie White was recently reappointed as Indiana Fever's head coach and has made her ambitions clear as she bids to win championships alongside Kaitlyn Clark. Stephanie White has made return to the Indiana Fever, bringing with her an ambitious vision for Kaitlyn Clark and her teammates. After a playoff season that ended in an early elimination by White's Connecticut Sun, the dismissal of Christy Sides opened the door for White's return to the WNBA franchise she once led as both head coach and assistant. Sides was criticized for not fully utilizing Clark's abilities. The relationship between Rookie of the Year Clark and White could be key in leading the Fever to championship glory, a goal White has openly stated for the team. In an interview with The Fan, Indianapolis, when asked about the Fever's next level, White succinctly stated her expectations: "It's competing for championships. The expectation was always to be competing for championships, and I think now we have an opportunity again to be doing that." While the timeline for these ambitions is unclear, White acknowledges that such progress won't happen overnight. She recognizes that Clark, whom she calls a generational talent, will be crucial to achieving her goals. White heaped praise on Aaliyah Boston, asserting she's poised to go down in history as probably the best center that we've seen in our league. White remarked, "You think about building around those two. Championships is the expectation. You compete for championships year in and year out." Indiana's basketball scene is buzzing with WNBA excitement reaching new heights, partly thanks to Clark's growing popularity, as noted by Sue Bird. On the Deal podcast, the basketball legend observed, "Even if you look at the 2023 viewership in the WNBA Finals, it was way higher than 2022. It was starting, the fire was there. But Kaitlyn came and she poured gasoline all over that thing and just took it to another level." Bird's observations are supported by data highlighting the WNBA's record-breaking season in terms of viewership and ticket sales. The league captivated a staggering 54 million unique viewers across broadcast networks such as ABC, CBS, and ESPN. Additionally, the WNBA marked a significant achievement with 22 regular season games drawing at least 1 million viewers each. In total, the season racked up an impressive 136.29 million hours of national broadcast coverage. The NBA are set to capitalize on the current surge in fame of female basketball star Kaitlyn Clark by including the Indiana Fever player in its annual All-Star Weekend. The format of the occasion is back in the spotlight following a one-sided 2024 affair, which saw the Eastern Conference beat their Western counterparts 211-186 in Indianapolis. The East versus West concept was reintroduced this year, going back to the initial team names used back in the inaugural game in 1951. From 2018 to 2023, two team captains would hold a draft to choose their team, regardless of conference, with LeBron James winning 5 out of 6 contests as skipper. But the 2025 version is set to incorporate the female game. According to ESPN, the league is in advanced talks to introduce a new tournament format to the All-Star event, as well as bringing back the NBA vs. WNBA three-point shootout. But it's the inclusion of Clark that is likely to harbor the most attention. The point guard has risen to superstardom in 2024, having broken multiple records in her debut season. Her numbers in assists and point scoring inevitably saw her crowned the Rookie of the Year. And she was also named in the prestigious WNBA All-Star team by league organizers. Stephanie White boldly set out her championship aspirations for Kaitlyn Clark and her teammates following her return to the Indiana Fever as head coach. After a season where the Fever reached the playoffs, only to be swiftly ousted by White's Connecticut Sun in the first round, Christy Sides was fired, paving the way for her comeback. She had previously held roles both as head and assistant coach with the team. The common opinion was that Sides hadn't fully harnessed Clark's abilities. Consequently, much will depend on the Rookie of the Year's rapport with White, 47, which could prove pivotal to the Fever's quest for a title. White certainly hasn't been shy about her ambitions. During an interview with The Fan, Indianapolis, when quizzed about the Fever's trajectory, White did not hesitate to spell out her objective in 4 words. "It's competing for championships," she established. She added, "The expectation was always to be competing for championships, and I think now we have an opportunity again to be doing that." While it's uncertain whether this goal is achievable next year or further in the future, White concedes that such advancements will take time. The involvement of the 22-year-old would also raise publicity ahead of the NBA's new television deal coming into play. As of 2026, the All-Star Game will move networks from TNT to NBC. Clark is currently also weighing up a lucrative offer from the new unrivaled 3v3 league, which gets underway in January. The game's newest phenomenon has thus far been coy over her intentions, but organizers have confirmed a deal is on the table for the Iowa College graduate. 3 days after parting ways with the Connecticut Sun, Stephanie White quickly landed on her feet with the Indiana Fever. "I am incredibly proud and honored to return home to Indiana and lead the Fever during such a pivotal moment in this franchise's history, as well as during such an important time throughout women's athletics," White said in a statement. "This franchise has and always will be committed to winning, and I look forward to working every day to help deliver another WNBA title to the greatest basketball fans in the world." In an interview with ESPN's Malika Andrews, White shared her excitement to coach Kaitlyn Clark and the Fever, revealing she has already had a conversation with the WNBA Rookie of the Year. ESPN's Alexa Philippou first reported the Fever had hired White as their new head coach after the team made its first playoff appearance in 8 years on the strength of Clark's debut season that earned her Rookie of the Year honors. Indiana had an opening at head coach after parting ways with Christy Sides on October 27. She went 33-47 overall in 2 seasons and led the team to a playoff berth in 2024. The Suns' decision to move on from White came as a surprise because the team was incredibly successful during her 2-year stint as head coach. She led them to a 55-25 record with back-to-back appearances in the WNBA playoff semifinals. Connecticut's 2024 season came to an end with an 88-77 loss to the Minnesota Lynx in Game 5 of the semifinals. Sun president Jen Rizzotti told Philippou the organization and White parted on good terms because some of White's decision-making process was not just about basketball. White, who earned Coach of the Year honors in her first season with the Sun, is returning to Indiana where she played 4 years of college basketball at Purdue and 4 years playing for the Fever from 2000 to 2004. After White's playing career ended, she moved into coaching. The 47-year-old's longest stint as a coach so far was with the Fever from 2011 to 16. She originally joined the team as an assistant on Lynn Dunn's staff before taking over as head coach in 2015 after Dunn retired. The Fever advanced to the WNBA Finals in White's first season, losing to the Lynx in 5 games. She left the team to become Vanderbilt's head coach after the 2016 season. Of the 7 head coaching vacancies in the WNBA this offseason, the Fever job was arguably the most desirable. They already have 2 young stars on the roster in Clark and Aaliyah Boston. Clark's impact on the offense was immediate, as they finished 3rd in points per game and rating during the 2024 season. As long as the Fever can improve their defensive efficiency, they have finished in the bottom 3 in that category every year since 2017. They are going to have a path to being a title contender. In White's 4 seasons as a WNBA head coach, her teams haven't finished lower than 6th in defensive rating. Undoubtedly, Clark will be central to White's strategy. The coach recognizes the 22-year-old as a generational talent and also holds Aaliyah Boston in high regard, predicting she will go down in history as probably the best center that we've seen in our league. White said, "You think about building around those 2, championships is the expectation. You compete for championships year in and year out." The buzz around the WNBA has never been louder as White makes her return to Indiana, with Clark's rising fame being a key driver of the league's popularity surge, according basketball icon Sue Bird. On the Deal podcast, she claimed, "Even if you look at the 2023 viewership in the WNBA Finals, it was way higher than 2022. It was starting, the fire was there. But Kaitlyn came and she poured gasoline all over that thing and just took it to another level." The former Iowa guard has catapulted the women's game to new heights and entered the WNBA with an all-time record 3,685 career points. But Clark's immense milestone is already under threat as the next generation looks to build on the foundations she laid. USC sophomore sensation Juju Watkins has already joined the 1,000-yard club. The 19-year-old took just 38 games to hit the mark, 2 fewer than Indiana Fever superstar Clark. She brought up 4 figures in a dominant 81-50 win for the 4-0 Trojans over Santa Clara. Watkins joined an elite club but knows she must keep her foot on the gas as Clark did not let up throughout her college career. Delaware's Elena Del Dunn and Weber State's Kathy Miller also took 38 games to hit 1,000, while LSU's Marae Jackson and Oregon State's Carol Mencken only needed 37. Watkins was a high school standout in California, earning multiple National Player of the Year honors. She racked up 920 points as a freshman and has shown no signs of suffering a sophomore slump. Cheryl Miller's 3,018 career points are the benchmark for the Trojans. The USC great has emerged as a mentor for Watkins, urging her to focus on the mental aspect of the game. "I'm not worried about the physical. You're a young kid, and you're going to continue to grow into your body," she said. "It's the mental fatigue that I worry from you. That's what I need from you, to find that quiet space." USC faces Notre Dame on November 23, which will give Watkins another chance to shine. Clark has changed the landscape of women's basketball. Appearing on the Deal podcast, Sue Bird explained how while the league was on an upwards trajectory already, the WNBA boom now is down to Clark with record growth in every area since her arrival into the league. "All of a sudden, this player named Kaitlyn Clark comes," she said. "And the way I frame it is, fire was going, it was burning. And it was burning brighter. Even if you look at the 2023 viewership in the WNBA finals, it was way higher than 2022. It was starting, the fire was there, but Kaitlyn came, and she poured gasoline all over that thing and just took it to another level. With players like Watkins in the pipeline, there is plenty more fuel for the fire." Kaitlyn Clark put together one of the most remarkable debut scoring seasons in WNBA history, finishing 7th in the league with 19.2 points per game as she cruised to Rookie of the Year honors. But in the eyes of WNBA legend Sue Bird, one shot in particular has helped skyrocket the profile of women's basketball during its recent insurgency: Clark's trademark logo three-pointers. "The casual fan, the one that isn't really into it but is going because their friends are going and it's cool to be there," Bird said on the Deal with Alex Rodriguez and Jason Kelly this week. "So we've always struggled in that. I mean, we were the butt of the jokes. It was really hard to break through, but Kaitlyn came and she poured gasoline all over that thing and just took it to another level," Bird continued after acknowledging the success of WNBA Finals series in 2022 and 2023. "She broke through, I think, with her logo threes. We finally had the antidote to dunking." This audacious three-point shooting range saw Kaitlyn Clark rise to national prominence as a junior at Iowa, finishing second nationally in scoring average as she helped her Hawkeyes march to the national championship game against fellow burgeoning star Angel Reese. Clark's crew lost decisively 102-85 against LSU, but the matchup generated a women's college basketball record 9.9 million viewers. Returning for her fourth and final season in Iowa City, Clark helped routinely shatter the record for most expensive ticket in women's basketball history as the scintillating perimeter shooting ultimately saw her snap Pete Maravich's all-gender NCAA scoring record. Clark proved an even bigger draw during the 2024 Final Four, with the Hawkeyes' championship defeat to South Carolina attracting a TV audience of over 19 million. Selected first overall in the WNBA draft, Clark has transferred the long-range Bird described into the professional ranks. Her average three-point attempt has come from beyond 28 feet, 2 further than any other WNBA player, and her 86% rim and three-point rate exceeds any other player in the league by a wide margin. White, who was the head coach of the Connecticut Sun from 2023-24, played 2 of the first 4 games of the season against the Fever. She, as well as most of the other coaches and players in the league, knew about Clark's star power, the excitement and new fans she brought to the league. She also had a front-row seat to Clark's early struggles, including the league record 10 turnovers in her WNBA debut against the Sun. Fever fans, new and old, had a lot to say about those early struggles on social media. But, as an experienced coach at the college and WNBA level, White knew it was a process. "I'm looking at all these things that people are talking about with Kaitlyn Clark, and it's like, guys, chill out," White said near the beginning of the season. "She's gonna be fine. It's 2 games in, are you kidding me? She's a student of the game. She got better every year. You're not just going to absorb all the new information that's coming at you in 2 games, in 2 weeks. It takes time. She will, I have no doubt about it." White knew she was going to be right. And 38 games later, when Clark had broken the rookie scoring and assists record, league game and season assists record, and placed fourth in MVP voting, those early season struggles were miles away. There are still some things to work on, of course. Clark said following the season she's just scratching the surface with what she can do in the WNBA, and with the full off-season now ahead of her, she has the time to make those changes if she needs to. She's a student of the game, she'll continue to get better, White added. And these are also points that coaches then address. Hey, let's continue to work on this, but it's really hard to work on some of those things in season. So this might be an off-season thing. Let's continue to play to our strengths, let's continue to get the ball to our players, and then, when we get time in the off-season, we'll work on that next step, that next level. As it turns out, White will be the one to lead Clark through those next steps after a historic Rookie of the Year season. White officially returned to the Fever franchise as its new head coach on Friday, tasked with leading Clark, Aaliyah Boston, and Kelsey Mitchell, assuming she resigns, to a championship. White and Clark already have a relationship, as the new Fever coach is a color analyst for NBA and Big Ten basketball games during the WNBA offseason. White called many of Clark's games while she was at Iowa, and the two have formed a connection through that. I think she has a really great basketball mind, Clark said in May. I think she's done a great job calling college games, it's been great to see her on NBA games. I think what she's done is she obviously has been a trailblazer, honestly. I think she's somebody who's been supportive of my game, and it's been fun to talk to her at shootarounds throughout my college career and has always been really supportive. The Fever already went through a lot of development in 2024, improving to a 20-20 season and the number 6 seed in the playoffs under Christy Sides, who was fired Sunday. It was their first playoff berth since 2016, as well as their first .500 record in that span. Clark and Mitchell developed into a dangerous backcourt duo, with Mitchell shooting 40.8% from three-point range and Clark shooting 34.4%. Both broke the Fever's single-season scoring record, and Clark finished just 2 points ahead of Mitchell to lead Indiana in scoring. The Fever had 3 All-Stars, with Boston joining Clark and Mitchell in Phoenix in July. When you talk about the job that Kelsey and Kaitlyn have done from a perimeter standpoint, they're a backcourt combo that is really tough to match up with, White said ahead of the playoffs. And then you have Aaliyah Boston on the interior, certainly along with what Lisa Smith brings, and Lexi Hull from an energy standpoint and knocking down shots. They're playing really confident basketball. They're playing really well together, and they're a tough matchup. The Fever's top players seemed excited about White's hiring, with Clark reposting the announcement on her Instagram story and commenting "Fev Show. Boston and Hull also put the announcement on their Instagram stories, with Boston adding "Let's get it." Smith, who was open about her frustrations with her lack of usage in the 2024 season after her minutes wavered, also put @IndianAfro back in her Instagram and X bios following Sides firing. Smith previously took that tag out of her bios following the season, replacing it with @Wunba. Smith put the Fever's announcement of White as head coach on her Instagram story as well, adding the intro of the song Kylie. By lucky that says, well, we play whatever time the championship is, that's what time we play, when's championship time. That's what time my team play. This article originally appeared on Indianapolis Star, Kaitlyn Clark, Indiana Fever's Stephanie White on Kaitlyn Clark.